You provide the time, the energy, and the empathy. You are the one people call when things go wrong. Yet, when you finally need that same support, the room goes quiet. People look right past you, as if your contributions have simply become part of the background. Most people assume the solution is to double down, to be even more helpful and more selfless. But respect is rarely lost in a single moment. It disappears through a series of subtle, daily interactions that quietly signal your value to the people around you. We are often taught that accommodating every request is the hallmark of a good person. However, human psychology functions on different cues. When you constantly yield your own needs, the subconscious brain of the observer interprets that behavior as a lack of personal weight. By examining the mechanics of these social interactions, we can see exactly how specific behaviors devalue your presence. We'll look at 3 common habits that invite people to ignore you, and how they connect back to the way you perceive your own worth. Reclaiming your position in a social group requires a shift in perspective. You have to evaluate the signals you're sending before you can expect others to change how they receive them. The very first habit involves your availability. You might feel a compulsion to say yes to every favor, transforming yourself into a permanent problem solver for everyone else's crises. This graph tracks social scarcity. As your availability reaches 100%, the perceived value of your time drops towards 0. But by introducing a boundary, you signal your time has a cost, immediately commanding more attention. You might believe that being constantly on call builds loyalty. In reality, people often stop viewing an over-available person as a peer. They treat them like a background utility, something that is always there, and therefore something they never have to prioritize. Social dynamics are entirely driven by strict boundaries. If you don't define the limits of your own effort, the people around you will simply keep taking until there is nothing left. This devaluation also happens through your speech. You can hear it in the habit of offering a 5-minute justification for a simple decision, or sharing deeply personal struggles with people who haven't earned your trust. This is known as the over-justification effect. When you bury a simple choice under a mountain of explanations and apologies, it signals that you are seeking permission. It suggests that you don't fully trust your own judgment, which invites others to doubt it as well. Consider these 2 structures. A brief, direct statement carries weight, like this solid block. But adding excuses creates a fragmented structure that dilutes the message, asking the listener to validate a decision you should have already made. Oversharing works in exactly the same way. When you broadcast your private traumas or insecurities to casual acquaintances, it suggests a lack of emotional control. Instead of creating a bond, it often makes the listener uncomfortable, creating distance rather than depth. Confidence is often found in what remains unsaid. The more you feel the need to defend your choices, the more authority you surrender to the person listening to you. Finally, we have the chameleon effect. This is the tendency to shift your opinions, hide your disagreements, or laugh at unfunny jokes, just to ensure the social environment remains completely frictionless. This Venn diagram shows why universal approval and genuine respect rarely overlap. Pleasing everyone requires you to erase the edges of your personality. Respect, however, is built on the friction that occurs when 2 distinct people have different perspectives. If everyone in a room likes you, it very often means you haven't said anything meaningful at all. True respect comes from being a person with clear, immovable convictions, even when those convictions make others uncomfortable. We tend to value people who can stand their ground. When you remove all disagreement from an interaction, you remove the very thing that makes your presence worth acknowledging. Sacrificing your identity to avoid conflict might make you likable, but it prevents anyone from truly respecting the person beneath the mask. These 3 patterns, the over-availability, the constant justifying, and the search for approval, all point toward the same internal conflict. They are symptoms of an individual who has stopped determining their own value. This flowchart illustrates what happens when you outsource your worth. Because there is no internal baseline, your value is at the mercy of external validation. If a friend ignores your text or a colleague critiques your work, your internal value node fluctuates wildly. You are effectively letting the market of other people's opinions set your price. The shift happens when you reclaim that valuation process. As you stop seeking external permission, the feedback loop breaks. Your internal value becomes a fixed point. This doesn't mean you become arrogant. It means you develop a quiet certainty that doesn't change based on who is in the room. The directive is simple, though the practice is difficult. Stop trying to earn respect through subservience. Instead, focus on the habits of someone who already values themselves. Speak with brevity, protect your time, and accept that you won't be for everyone. The people around you are watching for signals of how you expect to be treated. They will only value your words and your time to the same degree that you value them yourself. Reach a point where you are no longer asking for respect, but simply operating from a place that commands it.